Is it time for the 76ers to call it a season and pack their bags and just wait until next year? We're going to talk about that here today. But first, make sure you do subscribe to the Basketball Bulletin where Trevor Lane and I cover the NBA at large. Make sure you guys do that so you guys will miss out on any content, that we upload going forward. Thank you so much for your support as well. So we've actually talked about this a number of times on the channel already, where we've talked about the 76ers, how tumultuous their season has been, for lack of a better term, and the way that things have gone for them thus far, and just really the fact they've grossly underperformed, especially off of a off season where they were expected to be one of the best teams in the East. I mean, simply having Embiid should have you there, but they made a splash, a big one, in fact, by probably really overpaying PG, adding another star to their roster though, and they were expected to get just be a better team this year, and they have not been able to live up to that. It's been injury after injury for these guys since the start of the season, and recently there have been a couple of new things that have come out. So starting off, I want to talk about KG's comment on his podcast. Embiid, big fella, let's get some fresh air, go and shut it down, get your body right, go ahead and get the surgery, bro. He's not going to be ready for the season, bro. So what is KG talking about? He is recommending that Embiid just shut it down and go get the surgery. I mean, we're at a point now, with it being mid-February, late February, whatever, where if a guy is going to miss any extended time, that just knocks them out for the rest of the season. Like we're that deep into the year now. I know it's gone super fast, right? So if Embiid gets a surgery now, then he'll just be done. But what is he talking about? Well, Embiid had a surgery, I believe, towards the end of last year, and he actually himself recently came back and said that he believes he'll need another knee surgery, which is insane. That's absolutely ridiculous. And it's really made Embiid, and I've said this a couple of times on the channel, it's really made Embiid a bit of an enigma for me, because I know what he is when he's out there. However, he's never out there. He's always injured. He is always dealing with something, and he's been healthy in spurts. Like he was healthy enough to win the MVP a couple of seasons ago, but he hasn't had the long-term playoff success in his career, and he's going to be on the books for about 64, I believe, million in a couple of years. And I'm not like, I know what he is, but that's going to be a tough pill for me to swallow personally if I'm Philly, because he's got to be out there producing, and I just don't know if he will be, especially if he's already getting another knee surgery as a big man. I don't know. But towards the end of last season, Philly star Joel Embiid suffered a knee injury against the Warriors that would cost him months of action. Almost a year removed from getting that surgery, the former MVP fears more procedures are in his future. Joel believes that he'll need another surgery. There's a frustration from everyone involved. Ramona said, Joel, the doctors, everyone, that his knee has not responded to that surgery he had on his meniscus last year. It just has not bounced back the way that everyone was hoping. None of those doctors have said surgery is recommended right now. So that is where they also stand. He doesn't need to get the surgery right now, but they've been tiptoeing around this, having him in and out. And they really try to go into the season with decreased load on him, which is part of the reason they wanted another star. So there was less need to have Embiid out there every game. Embiid himself said at the start of the season or prior to the season that he wouldn't be, I think it was media day maybe, that he wouldn't be playing back-to-backs probably for the rest of his career, which to me is insane. I get it if you're him, but like I was just talking about a moment ago with all the contractual stuff, that's kind of insane, right? Which is why I said I know he's an enigma to me, because I know what he is. The dude's a walking 30 and 10. Like, he's insane. He's one of the best players when he's out there. It's just he's never out there. It's really, really unfortunate. So managing Embiid's knee has been a big factor in his limited appearances this season. It delayed his debut at the start of the year, and swelling has led to him missing games on numerous occasions. As we approach the All-Star break, he's only played 17 games. I didn't realize it was that low. And the sad thing about it is we're talking about Embiid, but it's not only just Embiid either. It may be in the Sixers' best interest. We've been saying this back when they started, 2-12 or something like that. We have been talking about this for a while. Just the fact they started 2-12 is crazy, by the way. But it may be in their best interest to shut it down, because they've got a draft pick this year that will go to OKC if it falls outside of the top 6. So they could, in theory, spend this time getting healthy, get a surgery if you need to, Embiid, and then just basically kick the bucket down to next year. You'll be better potentially next year. You'll get a good rookie, again, potentially top 6. If you don't get that, that means you probably started winning too many games. So you're right on pace right now. If everything would stop today, here's how funny it is. If things stop today, they'd be projected to get the number 6 pick, which this mock has them getting Trey Johnson. Anyway, yeah, so if things stay exactly as they are, if things ended today, they would be getting their pick. But if it falls one slot lower, OKC gets it. So I think, and players don't care about that stuff. That's more of an organizational thing. But I do think it's probably in everyone's best interest involved if the Sixers maybe call it, right? And like I said, it's not just Embiid. We're also having reporting that came out a couple of days ago from Shams that actually, maybe yesterday, I'm not sure, that Shams says that PG, this is insane to me, PG is already receiving injections just to play. That's crazy. Now, he does note that players do that in the postseason, but not necessarily in the regular season. That's crazy to me. PG has had so many clunker performances this year. In fact, his most recent game was a 5-point game or something like that. It was just really, really abysmal. And he himself said that he's dealing with an injury in his finger. As you see the injured finger right there, he's oftentimes dealing with pain. He's getting injections already now. I can understand it if we're in the playoffs. However, we're not. Right. We're still a couple months out. You've still got a good amount of games to play. PG is already dealing with stuff. He's been dealing with it all year. He needs that time as much as anybody. And he's also been somebody that's been not to the degree of Embiid, but he's been pretty unavailable throughout his career, especially over the last handful of years in this Clippers stint and now with Philly, where he's been just kind of getting a lot of injuries. And that's pretty unfortunate. But for him, they can't be. I talked about the Embiid thing. They just signed him to a 4-year, $212 million extension. Like he can't put up what he's putting up, play the way he's playing, making that kind of money. It's just not. It's just not all right. Like they may very well, for the record, have the worst contract on their books in a couple of years in PG. That's a whole other discussion, but that's just kind of the situation they're in. And he's putting up 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. I don't know that that's $50 million production, right? In fact, I don't believe so. But anyway, I don't blame him for taking that, of course, because he should. If you're PG, I would take that myself. But here's the deal. If you want to go the opposite end and say that these guys shouldn't, right? If they shouldn't try to just punt the rest of the season and worry about next year, and instead they should worry about this year, well, here's the benefit. The Sixers at this time have the 4th easiest schedule remaining. Yeah, 4th easiest schedule remaining. Now, they're like, what, 20 and 34 or something like that. I don't know if it's that bad, but I'd have to pull it up. They are Eastern Conference. That actually was spot on. Holy crap. 20 and 34. Wow. Lost their last 5 games. My God. 3-7 in their last 10. Do we have confidence that they'll win these games that they're supposed to win? Even though they've got one of the easiest schedules remaining, period. Do we have confidence they'll win the games they're supposed to win? I mean, they don't play pretty much anybody. They play Boston a couple more times, New York a couple times, OKC once more. The rest of it is the Rockets once more, the Wolves twice, the Pacers once. Like, they have largely gotten all of their tough matchups out of the way at this point. So after that, they've got matchups 2 more against the Wizards, etc. And this also could be a sliding scale. We could get to the end of the season where some of these teams, I'd have to look at their schedule, which is what we're going to do, where some of these teams are just going to kind of punt it because they're starting to gear up for the end of the season into playoffs, right? So maybe that happens, but do we have faith in that? I'm not sure. And like I said, that's kind of the silver lining if you're somebody that wants to look at it from the other perspective. And I've only talked about those 2 guys. Their team just in general, Maxey's dealt with some stuff too. Their teams in general been dealing with stuff. So here's how their schedule looks post break. They're going to come back and play against Boston on Thursday. That's one of their harder games, ironically. They may jump down further on the list after one of their last 2 Boston games gets off. Speaking of Boston, they're below them. They've got the 3rd easiest schedule. That may shift because I'd assume Philly is considered an easier one. And so, yeah, they are. They're on their list as an easy opponent. That's hilarious. 2 times against Philly. So they got that. Then they play Brooklyn right after that. Chicago, New York. There's an opportunity to maybe win a couple games right here after you probably lose that Boston game. You're probably going to lose these next couple of games against New York and Golden State. Then you have the Trailblazers. Then you may lose those next couple games if everything stays chalk. I mean, it looks like a lot of their tough games are front loaded right after the break. So that's probably good. Yeah, they go into 3 games directly after, at least, against the Jazz, Hawks, and Raptors, which those could be dogfights too. Those could be dogfights too. I think the Hawks are still ahead of them in the standings as well. They're the 8th seed. That could be a dogfight. Pacers, Mavericks, who knows how healthy they'll be at that point, mid-March, a month from now. That could be a nice little stretch for them. But largely, regardless of what any of this says, it just depends on how healthy they are from here. And I don't know if I have faith in them being healthy. The good news is they end their season with a few games that, again, could be wins for them. They get Miami here. I don't think Miami will be in a position to just punt this game, so they'll probably take it very seriously. And then the Wolves and Bucks, probably the same thing, because they play the Bucks in the 3rd. So weird stretch for them overall this year. Definitely underperformed. We're a team this year to root for. But what do you guys think? Should Embiid just call it, back to the topic, should he just call it a season and just kind of move on from this year, get the surgery, and take that extended time? This is the reason why you do it now, by the way. Get the extended time to heal. Ramona said there's no doctor telling him that he needs to do that. But I wonder if the task of even making it into the playoffs may be too daunting for these guys because of their lack of availability. So I think that's where things are tricky. But let us know what you guys think. Post down below. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you next time.